Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Q&A for the film Open Door. I'm Anand from the FilmBath Festival. I'm a broadcaster based here in Bath, and I'm really pleased to welcome Open Door's producer, Enno Milkani. Enno, welcome. It's great to have you all the way from Tirana.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, just before we start, Enno, I just want to remind our audience that, of course, any questions, any comments about the film, anything you want to ask Enno, you can pop them into the chat function on this forum. You can also tweet them if you use the handle @AMPLIFY Film. And of course, I will get to as many of those questions as I possibly can. Enno, obviously, everyone joining us has seen the film, but I find it's always useful just to do a quick little summary. The film follows two Albanian sisters. We've got Rudina, who's married, and she's got a little boy. She works as a seamstress. And her sister Elma arrives from the ferry from Italy pregnant. And they hit the road. They're going to meet their very patriarchal father. And this road trip is all about how they're going to grapple with Elma and her out-of-wedlock pregnancy. I just wondered what drew you to the story, these two female characters, and this huge theme of patriarchy.
Okay, the original idea comes from the director, Florence Papas, and in his previous interviews, he said that the idea came, he was driving one day, and while he was driving, he saw on the street two women, young women. One was pregnant, and then to him just it came the idea to write the script. Of course, he started with the idea to make a short film, and then when after we worked together for another short film, he came to me and said, I have an idea for a short film. Should we make it together? And I said, okay, tell me the story. And he just told me the story the way you just said it now. And immediately I saw a potential for a feature film, and I said, please, Florence, because we had 1 month time for deadline to apply at our National Film Center. So I said, please make it longer, just add pages. I see it as a very good feature film, not just a short film. And so that's the way the story started and the film started. We applied and we won, and then after 2 years of preparation, we did the shooting. The shooting started.
Tell me why you were drawn to the story of these two sisters. I mean, is that kind of a story, the fact that Rudina, the older sister, her entire life revolves around caring for other people, her in-laws, her son, and her husband is working abroad. Is that a common situation? Is that something that is familiar to Albanian society?
It is a common situation in the Albanian society where after the 90s, many Albanians immigrated, and mostly men, leaving behind their families. And today it's counted that around 1 million Albanians are living in Greece. Now with families, with their kids, around 700,000 in Italy, and so on. So, and immigration was also a source of income, like Albanians working abroad and bringing money to their families, to support their families. But beside that, I saw a story, very interesting story, because I saw two parts of the Albania. I saw this young lady coming, because at the beginning of the script, it was from the airport. She's coming at the airport. Then she arrives from abroad, and this modern airport where everybody is looking after his own business, and instead, they're in the village where they're going, you are going under a microscope. Mm. And the problem is that this young lady is pregnant and without a husband. So the baby has no father. And also I saw the part of the road movie, which I thought that would be fantastic. Even the production-wise, it was very. I thought it would be very easy to produce with a low budget.
Yeah, and the road trip is great because I mean, you know, you really get to see the country, and there are these lovely long shots sometimes of like just out one side of the windscreen, and you know, you just kind of going around this way and that. I mean, why do that? Is it just the visual effect? Is it just to mimic, you know, normal everyday life?
It, okay. When that's the editor decision to editing the editing process, which is like was a very long process because we had our first draft cut, and when Florence worked with the German editor Stefan Stabenau, somehow it was his decisions, knowing that what the festival selectors like, what the art house films are made. Uh, and if you see carefully, most of the time, we don't see the actors talking. We see the actors listening to their partners talking.
Yeah,
It's all the whole film is based on this. And so we had the first draft, second, fourth, up to 10 drafts of editing, and even different endings. Then at some point, it was like, you know, cinema is art made by many people, but also in this case, it was a decision like consultation among many people, me and the other co-producers and the editor. But we trusted the skills and the experience of Stefan Stabenau, the editor of the
yeah.
film.
The little boy in the film, Orion, his innocence, the love he represents, he's a really very effective character. I wonder what it was like to shoot with him. And I also want to ask you about the men in the film, but tell me first about the little boy.
The little boy, Orion, his name is Maxwell, unusual name for an Albanian guy, Maxwell, but he was brilliant in during the shooting. He is natural. He is improvising all the time. And we were surprised since on when we did the casting with him, and definitely you can see from the shots from the film that all the drama of the grown-up people falls on the this young man, on the little boy that tomorrow he's going to be a man himself, and we don't know how he's going to act towards his wife, his sister, his upcoming sister, or whatever. And the relation of man with women, and that's why most of the time when the girls argue in the car, he's listening,
Mm.
and this was done in purpose in the editing process.
And let's talk about the men because they're powerful, but they're not there. You know, you've got this faraway, powerful father who I'm terrified of even before he ever, you know, shows up on screen. And then you've got Rudina's husband, you know, who we only hear her side of the conversation. Was it difficult to make them present without actually having them there?
No, that was done in purpose
Mm.
to show that they are powerful, though we don't see them, though we don't listen to them. And as I said, the film somehow, because we had also those discussions, because usually on a telephone conversation, on a movie, you see both people talking. But in this case, we decided, no, we see only one side. We don't listen to the voice of the other person talking on the phone, because in the real life, when you see somebody talking on the phone, you listen only the person you're watching. You don't listen to the person who's talking on the phone. So
Yes.
it's like, decided to be like realistic, following these rules of the cinema, of real cinema, and uh, and I think that they are very powerful, though we don't see them.
Mm.
That was the idea.
Is it common to have films in Albania? I mean, are people ready to watch films with two female lead characters? I mean, that's a tricky thing to pull off anywhere in the world. You know, we tend to want to watch films with a man and a woman, but how much of an appeal would a film like this have in Albania?
Well, the film, which the director went from the beginning, he had a perfect, clear idea who's going to play Rudina and Elma. Luli Bitri is a very well-known actress for from theater and also her previous films. And Elma, Yonida Vokshi, she's a very well-known TV presenter.
Mhm.
She's done a lot of TV and she's well known. So Florence based the success, the local success, on these two actors because when people go to the cinema and among other films, they see the faces of the two girls and the names of the girls. Uh, the idea is that they are attracted to come and watch the story. But like in many countries, the film is not, it never could made it in front of other American blockbuster
Yeah.
commercial films.
Well, but still
This-
fantastic film, and that's exactly why. Now, there's that lovely scene in the hotel or the motel or whatever it is where they stop for the night, and then you know you've had all these powerful critical male characters, and suddenly you have this older man who reveals that his youngest daughter, who's left her husband, lives with him. Um, I mean, that's clearly a pivotal moment for the sisters. Is that where the title "Open Door" does that come from, you know, him kind of
exactly.
opening the door?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an open door for everybody. There is always an open door for everybody. It's the open door of the heart, of the open door of the house, because at the end, still, we see that there is still an open door for the ladies.
Mm.
This is why.
Okay, now I I mean, when they get to well, the premise is that they need to find someone to pretend to be Alma's husband and to pull off this crazy kind of charade for their father, so everybody can keep face and move on without any drama. Um, and they don't have much luck with the first guy, who's a bit of a charlatan. But the
Yes.
second guy, I'm guessing this is Rudina's true love. I mean, this is the man that she alludes to, that, you know, she, she
Exactly.
she's been on the phone with. And
Exactly.
he agrees to help her.
Exactly, it's true love because as we understand from the conversation beforehand from the girls in the car, the younger sister somehow tells the story of herself that she escaped this family situation, escaped and went to Italy for a better life because she didn't want to be a victim like her older sister. That is the father deciding that deciding to choose the husband for their daughter. So though still Rudina has a love story when from where she was young, and she's still communicating with him from time to time. And of course, we are always happy that people understand who's the man without saying a word in
Yes.
the entire film. That he
Well,
never, because
that's why I had to ask you, is that no, because it,
because
you know, you don't know very much. I like that you don't know very much about the characters. You don't really know how long Elma's been away. You don't know who has made her pregnant. You don't know what happened to their mother. And similarly, you don't know who this man is.
it's because in the previous versions of the script, there was a dialogue between this man and Rodina that I miss you when I'm still waiting for you when we are going to have some coffee together and so on. And that a little by little this dialogue disappeared. And of course, this went because of a process that Florence did in the first film first, in the script development with script doctors and so on, that we show it, but we don't tell it. You
Mm.
show it, you don't tell it. People must understand it. That's why we are playing with the video, and you don't need to, to tell everything. Otherwise, it will turn out into a soap opera where everything is told and explained.
Yeah. Now, the scene at the father's house. I mean, look, I come from India, where I think we wrote the rule book on patriarchy, and here's this man reading from this rule book. The women look after everyone, men work, babies, first children should be boys, husbands make decisions. Is this a part of Albanian life, this gender and this age dynamic?
In the rural areas, yes, it is. It's not how to say shown very much, but in every cell, in every family, there is this belief that a father must decide, the male must decide about everything, and of course, his best wishes are always that for a male baby to be born.
Yeah. And again, you make the point without making the point. So the men talk. Suddenly, we've had this film with two women, and then suddenly they are silent, and the men talk, and they take credit for everything, and they dispense wisdom. And meanwhile, the two women who have orchestrated the whole thing sit very quietly and just fetch the coffee.
Because
And brilliant.
the whole idea is to make the father happy. But then these two girls, the two sisters, they start and understand that the father is not the one that he used to be. Younger, stronger, more violent, more patriarchal. The father somehow has changed. That's why the younger sister at the end decides to stay with the father and tell the truth, to tell him that, listen, the guy is not my husband. The baby I'm carrying him is not his child. But please, uh, we have to accept this idea now that I'm pregnant and I will give birth here in this house, and you will be a happy grandfather.
Mm, mm. Well, I was going to ask you, does she tell him everything? Because, you know, I think she does, but because I care about this woman, I kind of want to know. She told him, right? You know, she made it clear.
Sure.
And are we meant to take the last scene as a happy ending? Are we meant to take away that perhaps Rudina and her true love have decided to have a life together?
I don't know either. I don't know either. It's like you take it as you want. The little boy dares to make questions, says, "Mother, where are we going?"
Yes.
And the mother, in the not previous shots, while we were filming, she says, "I don't know." And then we choose to keep in the last scene that she's silent.
Mm.
So you do, the audience does the gives the finale to the film. They watch the film, and in their mind they decide what Rudina is going to do.
So what was the most difficult part of making this film? I mean, was it a first-time director? Was it, you know, the story itself? Or maybe it wasn't difficult at all, but I just wonder if you could take us behind into the filmmaking process a bit.
Well, with first-time directors, there is a lot of insecurities that they have on their own, that they want every detail perfect, while we know that more experienced directors know that cinema is illusion, that you don't have to be like a perfectionist in every detail, because the camera, it has somehow its own limitations. So this is one of the difficulties to work with the first-time director. But in the case of the production, I would say that we did a lot of preparation for this, a lot of table work in the studio, and then the result was very smooth shooting without a problem. And production-wise, I was very happy, because the harmony in the crew was fantastic, and the day that was the last shooting, no one uh, could believe that this is the last day of shooting, and they wanted to keep going and film, but it was impossible.
So you've already won some awards from this film, I believe. Tell us a little bit about that. And I've got a question for you as well. But tell us about the reaction to the film within Albania and outside.
Okay, of course, it was a big pleasure and success for us, for the small Albanian cinema, to start the adventure of festivals last year with the Sarajevo Film Festival. That out of the Southeast European region, they choose only 8 films, and Open Door was one of the films chosen for the main competition. And then while having on board the sales agents like Patra Spano, film has reached like 30 festivals, film festivals, small, big, local, whatever. For us, they're festivals. They're calling us. They want to film. They want the DCP to show it, and so on. A week ago, last Saturday, it was Festival di Lecce. The film won 2 awards. Of course, the festival was online. All the ceremony, the closing ceremony was online. There was like 30 people online, and won 2 awards: Audience Award and Cinema Europeo Award.
I know I've got a question here from the audience. It's a fantastic film, very impressive for a first-time director. From your point of view as a producer, what are the main elements that explain the quality of the process? What's your advice to aspiring filmmakers and first-time feature film directors?
Okay, as I said, work with the professionals, which mean DOP, professional DOP with experience, previous
Director of
experience.
photography.
The photography, sound. This is very important. Even when the direct sound on location, that you easily work on the first rough cut. Editor, and we didn't save the money for these guys. What they asked, we gave them, and we had to cut the budget on something else. And of course, the story. The story is very important, to find always the story to be very simple, and to have something to tell, which is very, if we talk about art house film story, that it's that there's no heroes in these films. There is everyday people. We see people like us, and if they have a story to tell, this is maybe the best story to make it, to turn it into a film.
And interestingly, you were also telling me just before we began the live broadcast that it's quite typical for a lot of different parts of the production teams to be from the different countries that are now, part of the former Yugoslavia. So you have Macedonian crew members, you have people from Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Albania and Kosovo, and that seems very heartening and very interesting part of the filmmaking process.
It's very interesting because even when you are not shooting and being together with these people, you learn. You learn about film production. You learn about how they do, and so on, and you exchange experiences. And to tell you, for example, the sound person from Macedonia, after this film, made two more films in Albania, enjoying a lot, working with the Albanian crew, and finding in Albania students from Macedonia, Albanian of Macedonia. So this in the film, during the work, they speak together Macedonian, because they speak Macedonian and Albanian, the Macedonians of Albania. So it's good to have everybody on board and to exchange different experiences. Definitely.
And
And
finally,
yeah,
and can I ask?
after, okay, okay.
Sorry, I really want to ask you this. It's kind of obvious question, but it is really surprising to me that, you know, when you said that the director, Florence, wrote this film, he wrote the script. Are you surprised that you know, a male director was able to write such a sort of nuanced film about two sisters and you know, these really strong themes of female emotional independence and about decision making and you know, the kind of roles that women get sort of put into sometimes by society?
I was not surprised because if we go deeper, Florence has a sister, older sister that worked with disabled kids, and so I think his sister has a lot of influence on him to make him able to write to have to his idea this idea to develop these female characters and then write it down into a script. And
Mm,
of course, it went in a process of 3 years at least,
yeah.
only the script.
Well, I have to say it's a surprising film. It's not what I expected from a film made in Albania, and yet that's why it's so refreshing because it is a very universal theme. You know, I think this film could easily have been made in the Middle East and South Asia and many, many different cultures, and yet here it is in a sort of slightly, you know, European modern context, and it's very refreshing. I highly, highly recommend it. And Enno, I'd like to thank you. But just before I let you go, another comments just popped up, several of them. Let me just share a couple of them with you. People saying, I love how much is said with so few words. We've talked a bit about that. I loved the film, a beautifully paced film, which completely held my attention. So just some of the feedback that's coming in from this film festival. And of course, we are under national lockdown, so it's wonderful to have all these global films. We can't travel, but we can see Albania through your eyes. And I hope that people will continue to watch these films on Amplify Film. Amplifyfilm.org is where you can find all the information. But Enno, Milkani, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for talking about the film.
And the last information, this film is the Albanian official selection for the Oscars for 2021, just as an information.
Brilliant. So we look forward to it going to compete at the big ceremony. Do you think you'll be at the Oscars next year? Do you think that'll be possible?
Okay, I mean, what's wrong with dreaming?
Well, we all dream with you. Enno, thank you again. Thank you so much. And we hope that your next film, we get to watch that as well. And thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you for giving me the possibility to talk with you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again. And please remember, do tell your friends about the Amplify Film Festival. That's it for this Q&A, but do join us for lots of other programs all throughout November. Thank you.